Hello foliage family, my name is Romani, the mother of Leafy Boys, and I'm really excited to show you how to build this terrarium today. So a fun fact about me is I'm actually a really big Lord of the Rings fan, and while I wouldn't say I achieved exactly Hobbiton, I will say that was my inspiration going into building this terrarium beside me here. I wanted it to feel like it kind of had that hobbity vibe. I even got a really great creator called Splendid Sprouts. She's a beautiful artist. She makes like a lot of polymer clay, doodads and trinkets, like decorating terracotta pots and doors. I don't think she does doors as much anymore, but I remembered seeing her making doors, and I caught her at a market one day and I said, look, you don't have any here, but do you remember when you used to make doors? Could you make me a door, and could it be a specific kind of door? And she was so lovely. Thank you so much, Jess. She made me this beautiful hobbit door, and that sort of was the final piece to the puzzle. So I had these jewel orchids, and I've had them for quite a while, and I knew where I could get moss. I knew I didn't want to get moss right away because it's not good to, have moss sitting around while you're waiting to build the terrarium. So the moss was sort of the last thing that I got, and I needed to find the right size terrarium bowl to fit everything. But yeah, this is our final product. I'm going to sort of talk you through how I went about creating this. Step 1 seems pretty simple, but you need to come up with an idea. I think going in to building a terrarium completely blind is going to be a bit difficult, but also being open to what you source. So I went in having a theme in mind, but I didn't quite know how it was going to turn out, and also included doors. I knew I wanted to have hilly vibes indoors. Step 2 is then sourcing all of your materials. Finding a place that sells moss locally is really great, or someone who sustainably collects moss is a really great way to go about it. Etsy is where I find a lot of moss. The moss inside the terrarium I have right now is from a combination of places. Some of the moss is from my own backyard. As for plants, I could source those ahead of time because a lot of these could live in like domes until they were ready to go into the terrarium. So I was slowly sourcing orchids. I knew I wanted jewel orchids, and they are a great terrarium plant. Plants like photonias can also be really good. Ferns, however, I find ferns tend to take over a terrarium really quickly. You have to think about how much you want to maintain your terrarium, and I feel like jewel orchids are a little bit of a slower grower for me, so they won't take over the terrarium too quickly, whether I think a fern would just sort of fill out the whole terrarium and it would get too much of like a jungle vibe for my liking. Getting yourself a creeping plant is also a really good idea. The creeping plant that I've put into this terrarium around like the log is a ficus. I'll put the name on the screen for that kind of ficus as well, but it is a really easy growing, beautiful little terrarium plant. I currently have mine growing in room humidity, but I live in Australia, so Australia, Queensland, our humidity is pretty good, so it is growing outside of a humididome pretty well. While you're hunting around for plants, some stores like nurseries may also sell little bits and bobs for terrariums as well. So be looking for small rocks, like different layers of rocks, smooth pebbles or like river looking rocks. Those are really great. Barks, sticks, and just anything that you feel like inspires you design wise. I did not know what I was going to do for the second terrarium here until I saw this rock that had all of these weird shapes and holes in it, and that really inspired me to make the second one. So the second one, I knew I wanted it to be just a place for me to put my jewel orchids. There wasn't really a theme or a vibe for it, but the rock sort of inspired that one's shape and what it ended up looking like. Try and hunt out and see if you can find any terrarium building nurseries near you. I know Mappin's is a really good one out this way. They've got so many things like crystals and little characters. That's where I got Gary from, my snail. It's where I got the stepping stairs rocks as well, and the rock and the stick that's in here, as well as the like gravel bits. But you could also get the gravel bits from aquariums. Aquariums are a great place to go because they also have usually sticks and rocks that are fine to be in terrariums as well. Like they've already been prepped to be living in a terrarium, or well, an aquarium, but you know, same deal. As long as they can get moist and it's not going to rot, that's what you're looking for. But if you just go and get a random stick from your backyard and it's not hardwood, that's where you could be running into some issues where it sort of starts to decompose, and that could lead to some rot issues in the terrarium. So now you've got your rocks, your moss, any decorations, you should be pretty much ready to go. You will need some soil. Now I was super lucky and I found terrarium soil. I've been looking for terrarium soil for so long, but Mappin's Nursery had some terrarium soil, which was fantastic. But essentially you just want something that doesn't have a lot of chunkiness to it, which brings me to like the last little thing that I could suggest. It's not 100% necessary because you can just maintain the terrarium yourself, but springtails are perfect for terrariums because they get in there and they eat up all the like decomposing matter for you, so that you don't really have to do much when it comes to maintaining the terrarium pretty much at all. So let's move on to actually constructing your terrarium and sort of the order that you could approach it. I like to start with a form of a drainage layer. Now this isn't 100% necessary, especially if you're not pouring water directly into the terrarium. You really should just be misting it, but just in case, it's a little backup so it doesn't get Sog City in there, I add a drainage layer. And this can be of so many different materials. It could be fine rock, chunky rock, it could be lacquer, it could be perlite. You're essentially just trying to put something at the bottom layer that the water can pool into without getting to the soil. So when I started building this, I added actually 3 layers of drainage. A fine white rock, a slightly chunkier black rock, and then some larger white river-styled rocks. Now it is super important before you begin constructing your terrarium that you wash everything first. So I washed all of the rocks out in the sink to make sure that there was no grit or dirt or anything that could make for like a really muddy, soppy bottom. I also use sphagnum moss in my terrariums, so I got a little bit of sphagnum moss, and I also made sure that it was moist but not dripping wet. I then also pre-moistened the soil that I was going to be using. Now it's up to you how moist you want the soil. You can make it quite moist, and this could help you to build structure. I probably, in doing this again, would have made it a little bit more wet than I currently did so that it was a little bit easier to structure, but I didn't want it to be too soggy. Unless you have a really clay-rich soil that really holds moisture well, it could make it even more difficult if the soil is too wet. After I built up my 2 base layers, my white rock and the black rock, I then went in and started adding my 3rd layer, but I was only really using this at the front, and this was more of a decoration layer rather than actually a drainage layer. So this was only placed at the front so you could see it from a viewing perspective. I didn't bother doing it at the back. I then moved on to adding a layer of sphagnum moss. Now I like adding a really thin layer of sphagnum moss over the entire area where I'm going to put soil. This is specifically because I don't want the soil to slowly move in and amongst the rocks, because that's how you'll end up with like a really muddy or like brown looking rock layer at the bottom. I didn't want it to get muddy, so I add the sphagnum moss, one as like an extra layer that helps to wick up the moisture from the rocks into the soil, but also a layer that sort of filters the water down into the rocks. The next step is to sort of figure out where your biggest item is going, and for me that was this really cool branch piece and the two doors. These are the most prominent parts of the build, so I had to know and figure out where these items were really going to go, and this honestly was the biggest time drain, was just figuring out ahead of time where I wanted everything to sort of sit. I settled on having the door in the lower area and then the house at the top of almost a hill, and the branch was going to sort of look like a cave that transitions into a tree, or at least that was kind of the goal. After I figured that out, I started adding in my soil to build up mounds of dirt where I wanted to add the houses and where I wanted to add the moss on top of it. I would take the door in and out when I was building. I didn't want them to get completely covered in the soil as I was building it, but I needed to know how tall this section needed to be. So I needed to bring the door in and out to sort of measure what that space was going to look like. It was then time to move on to the moss and plant layer. I sort of do this layer at the same time because some of the plants need to be sort of popped into the soil a little bit more, and the moss helps to cover the roots. And then sometimes I end up adding the plants sort of on top of the moss. So I do both steps at the same time. I personally like to have multiple different kinds of moss. I feel like it adds more depth, and I feel like it adds a little bit more texture to have all these different kinds of moss in this world. I love specifically when you have like rocks or sticks that have little nooks and crannies where you can try and squeeze more of those like pokey outy kinds of moss. And then it's time to add your detail pieces, and this is where your terrarium really starts to come to life. I started to add things like the pathways and the doors and stairs. But I really love this detail I did with a bit of a log and Gary the snail, and I had some of that ficus that I hope would sort of cling to the log eventually and start to grow through it. And just underneath the log, if you can spy it, I also put a little pin mushroom. I had these tiny little stick mushrooms that I've popped all over the terrarium, and I thought it would be really cute if inside the cave there was this big crystal and this hedgehog, and I just thought it would look like this little cave world where he's this little hedgehog collecting his mushrooms. And I feel this is where it started to divert off into a bit more of like a magical sort of fairy kingdom. But honestly, the entire time that I was building this terrarium, the theme song to the Shire was playing through my head the entire time. So in my heart, even though it looks a little bit fairy kingdom, I think it will always be Hobbiton to me. And here is a closer look at the final product. I repeated very similar steps for my orchid terrarium, which I essentially knew that I was going to make because I knew I was going to have leftover orchids, and I knew that I was going to have leftover moss as well, but not a lot of moss. So that is why I created my second orchid terrarium. Now, I didn't film this one as much in depth as I filmed the first one, but just to give you a little quick once over, this was the process of building this one as well. I started with 2 layers. I had the white and then I had the black rocks, and then I knew that it was only a small section that was going to actually need to have soil in it, so I made myself a little barrier of rocks to make almost like a little garden bed for where I was going to put the soil and the orchid. I put the rock in sideways because I thought it could almost look like a fallen tree in a forest, and the plants in the forest are trying to take over this section. Orchids were sort of placed or nestled into the rocks where I could. Same with the moss. I tried to like put the moss bits into some of the nooks and crannies of the rock as well. I just thought it looked really cute that way. But there is a big section of black rock behind it, and I kind of like the negative space in this terrarium, but I would love to get a little figurine that is almost like walking through this like magical world that they've walked into. I think that will definitely be a really cool update that I could have to this terrarium in the future. And here is a bit of a closer look at that final jewel orchid terrarium. Alright, well, I hope that you enjoyed my little hobbit-inspired terrarium building tutorial. I honestly had a ball building this. I love it so much. So let this be your sign that it is time to go and build yourself a little miniature world to live inside your home. Please make sure that you do all the YouTubey things on this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!